Welcome to The Debate, a WhyItTV production. We're a community that is really dedicated to understanding powerful brands and systems before we form our opinions. If you value that kind of thinking first approach, please go ahead and like this content, subscribe for our full topic drops every Friday, and tell us in the comments how you see this massive global system operating. So think about the Coca-Cola Company for a second. How can a business be, simultaneously held up as the gold standard of strategic genius? I mean, a company that generated nearly $46 billion in revenue last year, while at the very same time it stands at the epicenter of these huge global controversies about everything from public health to massive environmental pollution and documented labor rights abuses. That paradox that really defines the system.
And that tension is exactly what makes this analysis so necessary. We're trying to move beyond just the simple metrics of financial success to really analyze the underlying structure that governs this enterprise. An enterprise operating in over 200 countries, its scale, it fundamentally alters how you interpret its success.
Right. So today we're exploring two fundamentally credible ways of interpreting that structure. The central question is this: is the Coca-Cola system a brilliant, resilient economic model that provides global value? Or is it a powerful structure designed primarily to externalize costs onto consumers, workers, and the environment? I'm going to argue that the system is a strategic masterpiece of brand and business structure.
And I'll be arguing that its massive scale and its unique corporate separation fundamentally position it as a system that's built to externalize significant costs and to leverage its financial and legal power to shield the parent company from bearing those burdens.
Okay, so my position is rooted in the sheer elegance of the system design itself. The concentrate and bottler structure it's a masterpiece because it creates financial asymmetry by design. Coca-Cola, the parent company, focuses on the high-margin, asset-light part of the business, manufacturing the syrup, owning all the intellectual property and trademarks, and, crucially, generating global demand through immense marketing. They concentrate their investment on what really matters, the brand and the formula, which is intangible and highly scalable, without requiring massive fixed assets.
I see why you'd think that, but let me offer a different perspective on that structural asymmetry. You call it strategic elegance, I would call it strategic risk dispersal. We know the concentrate segment pulls in a phenomenal 10 to 20% net profit. Meanwhile, the localized bottlers, the entities that actually produce and distribute the product, they struggle with margins, often below 5%. So the brilliance isn't just in the brand, it's in the ability to push the heavy financial burden, which includes things like amortization.
And by amortization, you're talking about the depreciation on the large, expensive equipment?
Exactly. The bottlers take on the amortization, the heavy long-term debt that's tied to complex bottling machinery, vehicles, all that logistics infrastructure onto their balance sheets. They also bear the labor cost, the distribution risk, and the enormous capital expenditure, which allows the parent company to remain nimble and profitable no matter what the localized operational volatility or high fixed costs might be. The system is just designed to keep that risk offshore.
But that separation facilitates incredible global reach and adaptability, which, that speaks directly to the system's resilience. When consumers started moving away from sugary, carbonated soft drinks, a clear shift in lifestyle trends, the parent company didn't collapse. It used that stable, high-margin concentrate revenue stream to diversify and do it rapidly. We saw them acquire major non-carbonated brands like Fairlife and Suja Juice. That guarantees continuous growth and allows them to address changing health trends head-on through product portfolio management.
Right. And that's a compelling argument about diversification. But I'm not entirely convinced by that line of reasoning. Because the adaptation, it rings a bit hollow when we consider the scale of the costs the core products continue to impose. The system's success is built on selling sugary beverages globally. We can't ignore that carbonated soft drinks are still, by volume, the single most consumed food in the American diet. And when a standard 12-ounce serving has nearly double the World Health Organization's daily recommended sugar limit, the cost of dealing with obesity and type 2 diabetes is a massive health liability that gets externalized onto public health systems all over the world.
Okay, let's address those friction points directly then.
Let's start with that trade-off between global efficiency and local impact, what you could call the bottler paradox. The split between the parent company and the bottler network is essential for speed and local market sensitivity in the fast-moving consumer goods industry. I mean, just look at the North American operations. The strategy to re-franchise bottling operations wasn't just about reducing corporate fixed capital. It was about injecting highly specialized local knowledge back into the supply chain to better handle distribution and optimize for those higher margin small packaging formats. This drives greater performance and it provides local employment.
Consider the water-stressed regions. In places like Caldera, for example, the local community still holds the well-resourced corporate actor responsible for making a shared, systemic water crisis worse, simply because the area lacks effective regulation of utilization. The argument that the plant uses only a small percentage of the regional water table is, frankly, insufficient. The mere presence of a corporate giant extracting resources in a stressed environment makes the local stakeholders feel perpetually disadvantaged. The profit is concentrated, but the environmental impact is felt locally.
And regarding the labor issues, and look, the allegations related to local bottling partners in Colombia, the kidnapping and torture of unionists, those are horrific. The parent company has consistently focused on building a network of partners committed to excellence. The structural complexity involving these large anchor bottlers is simply common practice for managing operations across 200 different legal systems. This structure is necessary to place stages of the value chain in different geographic locations for operational efficiency. It's not inherently designed for evasion.
That's a very careful framing of the legal structure, but it functions to maintain distance and, well, accountability avoidance. The complex, multi-layered ownership structure, often involving offshore entities, creates a critical legal shield for the parent entity. When gross human rights violations occur at the local level, the enormous financial leverage and structural distance of the core brand allow it to deflect direct liability under international law. The local operating partner takes the heat, while the brand maintains its distance and just continues to supply concentrate globally. The system is engineered to protect capital over local accountability.
Let's move to our second friction point: brand value creation versus behavioral influence. My argument is that Coca-Cola excels at brand building. They create genuine, intangible value, and they demonstrate responsiveness. The introduction of products like Coca-Cola Zero or the acquisition of fast-growing beverage brands like Topo Chico, that demonstrates they are actively adapting to consumer demand for diversification and reduced calorie options. They are changing with the market.
Adaptation is often superficial when the systemic influence remains intact, though. The company's immense investment in marketing and its political activity is explicitly aimed at shaping consumer environments and public policy in their favor. The revelation that the company sought to influence public health organizations like the CDC and the WHO is powerful evidence of this. Emails demonstrated an active attempt to lobby officials to avert policies that were seen as a serious threat to the business model, sometimes by trying to divert attention away from sugar-sweetened beverages entirely.
Well, while the company has to protect its interests, and every major enterprise engages with regulators, it's also true that they were among the first to offer clear nutrition information on products, and they've launched low or no-calorie beverage options in 192 markets. The brand isn't static. It's aggressively meeting the challenge of the health and wellness trend that's sweeping the entire beverage industry.
Systemic responsibility. That protective posture and influence strategy, to me, shows that the brand is not merely offering choice, it is shaping demand to perpetuate profitable yet health-concerning consumption patterns. They have historically funded groups that focus blame for obesity primarily on a lack of exercise, not on their product category. That is a clear effort to externalize the blame for a product that is structurally linked to public health crises.
And yet, the reality of the environmental cost is undeniable, which brings us to friction point 3, sustainability goals versus systemic plastic dependence. The Coca-Cola Company is demonstrating meaningful commitment here. They're aiming for 100% recyclable packaging by 2025 and 50% recycled content by 2030. They are investing heavily in new bottle-to-bottle facilities globally, including the first or largest of their kind in various markets, and they're piloting refillable PET and glass systems to increase the percentage of reusable packaging. This is quantifiable. demonstrable progress.
Progress is admirable, but accountability requires recognizing the structural depth of the challenge. Critics note that the current focus, which is centered on recycled PET, creates a recycling economy rather than a true circular economy.
Can you elaborate on the difference between those two concepts in this context?
Absolutely. A true circular economy means reducing the need for virgin materials and designing products for maximum reuse. A recycling economy, like the one Coke is currently emphasizing, actually relies on the continuous input of new plastic. Recycled materials, or RPT, they eventually downcycle. They lose quality and clarity and can't be perpetually turned back into high-grade beverage bottles. So this means the overall system requires an endless stream of new plastic production to sustain its current scale.
But that ignores the operational complexity.
Returnable systems are often far less
Efficient in vast modern supply chains, especially when you're operating across emerging and established markets simultaneously. The investment in new recycling facilities and lighter weight plastic is a practical response to the logistics of 21st century global distribution, balancing environmental concerns with the speed required in the fast-moving consumer goods sector.
And yet we have proven high-performance, durable alternatives that Coke itself utilizes in some markets. Refillable glass bottles can be used up to 50 times, and refillable PET up to 25 times. The continued dominant reliance on single-use packaging, which is far easier to distribute quickly, is the core engine of environmental externalization. And that's proven by their status as the world's most massive plastic polluter. It just proves that maximizing convenience and market penetration still outweighs true environmental sustainability in their business model.
Well, at the end of the day, the strategic brilliance of the Coca-Cola system lies in its economic separation and its global footprint. It is a structure engineered for resilience, capable of high profitability and rapid diversification, from carbonated beverages toward premium coffee and dairy alternatives, demonstrating its capability to absorb intense external pressures and maintain sustained profitability growth.
And yet, that scale of economic success and structural protection is intrinsically linked to the scale of the systemic costs it externalizes. Whether that's through the vulnerability of workers created by the highly profitable but legally insulating bottling structure, or the environmental pressures generated by its core reliance on disposable single-use packaging, the financial leverage just guarantees a profound distance from liability.
I think what this conversation really illuminates is just how intricate the challenge of assessing a company of this magnitude really is. We are talking about an enterprise where the economics are vastly different across continents. I mean, nearly 40% of its net sales revenue comes from established markets, 17% from developing markets, and a significant 44% from emerging markets. This immense geographical complexity means that the assessment of positive value creation, like local job creation and operational efficiency, is deeply intertwined with the systemic challenges we've analyzed. Simple solutions or, singular judgments are truly impossible.
Indeed. And to understand the true mechanics of this global brand, we have to constantly scrutinize the structural assumptions underlying both the arguments for its brilliance and the arguments for its burden.
WhyTV exists for people who want to think more clearly about complex systems like the Coca-Cola Company. This debate is one critical chapter in our larger Coca-Cola series, and it's specifically designed to illuminate the system's dynamics, not to push a single viewpoint. Understanding systems is always more interesting than simply choosing a side. We invite you to continue with the other Coca-Cola assets. Please like, subscribe, and comment on your key takeaways, and return every Friday for a new full WhyItTV topic drop.